Hi, Leah.
Hi, Kamna. All right.
So we are talking about something that is so perfect for us today. I can't even stand it.
It is a wonderful topic and it was very well timed, don't you think?
Yes, we're talking about disruptions.
Disruptions when things don't go as planned.
Yeah, when there's suddenly a hiccup in the road and you're like, what am I supposed to do? Oh no.
Yes. Do you deal well with them?
Generally, yes. How about you?
I think I'm a no on this one.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's not real surprising.
No. And I think I think of disrupt no, we'll get into it, I know, but I think there's two sides to disruption. I think there's like
Okay,
disruption to your routine and then,
yes,
oh my God, this just came up. Now what?
right,
Kind of.
right, right.
And I think I'm better with, "Oh my god, this just came up, now what?" versus disruption to my routine.
Okay,
I think.
okay. Well, I just meant that I am not surprised because we're just so
Oh,
opposite to each
yeah.
other.
Mhm.
Like,
Yes.
totally.
So I think it'll be interesting to get into. So, but before
Yes.
we do that, I need to hear about your non-call to action, call to action.
So my call to action last week was not to make a call to action because I needed a little bit of a break.
Mm.
And then
And
I thought about you a couple of times this week where Leo's like, that's still a call to action to relax and do nothing.
mhm.
Um, and in a way it was nice, but I think I still did a lot of stuff. I'm still trying to I've eaten more salads and vegetables in the past, what, 3 weeks than I have in a long time, and I feel so good. And even what I did yesterday was I went to the store. I'm a single lady for a few days. I bought a bunch of beautiful vegetables. I cut them up and I
I
roasted them.
love that you put the adjective in there of beautiful. Go ahead.
They're beautiful.
Go
And
ahead.
I roasted them so I could prep them for different things. I'm gonna have tacos with my roasted vegetables and a pizza with the roasted vegetables, and maybe I'll eat them as a snack.
Good
So,
for you.
so
So you
even in my
did
non
do a call to action.
well, even in my non-action, I still did my call to action,
Yeah,
which
you didn't
was
relax and do nothing.
I did. I sat on the sofa yesterday for 4 hours and did nothing. I was so tired. I
Yeah,
just
but
watched TV and did nothing. I really did nothing.
I think that's good though. Sometimes we need it.
Yeah, I definitely did. I was exhausted.
It's not that we do that all the time. And sometimes you need to honor your body. And if it's telling you it's exhausted, then take the nap
Yeah,
or figure out why. And if it's like, let me give an example. If you were running yourself ragged 5 days in a row, then you need to take your step back and say, okay, I can't keep this behavior up. But if it
right,
was because you were traveling like you were, then of course it's a no-brainer that you need to take that time. There's nothing
right.
to fix for you because you were just tired from all of the traveling and stuff. But I think you need to pay attention to that. If you're feeling tired every single day, then pay attention,
Yes.
you
And
know?
I think I have these periods where I just come home, I sit on the sofa and I just veg out. And I think I just need it. It's very important for my mental health and physical health. I just need it.
Absolutely. I think I agree. Sounds good to me. So,
I am dying to hear about your 7
okay,
realms.
yeah,
What
so I
is
was going to put my 7 realms or whatever dimensions or whatever you wanna call them in order. And I didn't do it on paper, but I thought
Wait,
about it.
explain to me what it was that you were doing. I
They
forgot.
were, I was trying to balance things out and see where my priorities are and where they're out of balance. And they're in general, I'll just remind everybody, these are not in order, but they're family, social, spiritual, physical, which is your health, material things like like a new couch or a new table, your hobbies and your career. So I did a lot of thinking about it while I was walking this week, and I realized that I have moved my health one up in my
Okay.
list, which makes me feel really, really good. And I'm really happy
Yeah.
with that. Um, but which means something else had to be sacrificed, I think.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's what we talked
So
about. Something has to give.
yeah, so I think my social slash community sacrificed, which I'm okay with right now.
Yeah.
So what anyway, this is a very long way to say. I think what I realized is it's something that should be looked at least every other month.
Oh, interesting.
And
Why
I
do you
need to
think
look
every
at
other
it and
month?
say, well, because let's say in like 2 months from now, it's September and I'm overwhelmed and we're back in school and life is crazy. I think at that point, I need to really look at like my social and maybe I need to get out and go have lunch with a friend or looking at it a little bit differently. And I think it's something that needs to be looked at every once in a while.
Mhm.
You know what I
I
mean?
think you're right. You have to reevaluate what's important in the moment
In the
because
moment.
it could change. Yeah, absolutely. It could be
Yeah.
today your family is important and your family's settled, so now you can concentrate on your health and so there's a lot of fluidity to this.
Right. And there might be a time when honestly, like I'm like, okay, my material things are super important right now. And maybe I'll need a new car or I'll need something. And it's like that needs to shift and I need to give somewhere else. So I think it's something to look at every once in a while.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think
Okay.
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And no, I did not ask my husband to look at it.
Did you have any discoveries about yourself?
Um, no, I don't think so. Just that I need to look at it more. And I'm actually proud of myself that I put my health up at the number 2 slot.
What was number one? Can I ask?
My kids and my family. That's number 1.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
always.
And I
Yes.
don't think that'll ever shift. I really
Yeah,
don't.
it
But
shouldn't for me, I think.
right. Yeah. So that's number 1 and then my health and well-being. And then I'm playing with what would go next would be the hobbies and or the career, what I need to give
Interesting.
more of my time to. And I think I'm okay with my hobbies, but I don't know. So I might shift that a little bit.
Do you feel like you already do a lot and there isn't much time to add more?
No, I could add more. I need to do more
Okay.
time management. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
we all can do that.
Yeah. But then it would take away some hobbies. So, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I don't feel like there's enough time.
Yeah, because even the downtime is still something that has to be done.
Yeah, that I enjoy. My downtime, I enjoy doing my hobbies or whatever you want to call it. So,
Yeah.
anyway, enough about that. Let's jump into this topic.
Yeah, and I think we need to start with the retreat we just had.
Yes. Okay, do you want to start? Okay, let me start if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Okay. So, you guys, everybody that listens know that I'm up early at the crack of dawn. And the day before, Kamna had texted me and said her flight was delayed. And I was like, oh, Lord, this isn't good. This isn't good. I was already nervous because you had said that, right?
Yeah.
And then 8 in the morning, 6 in the morning, I look at my phone and there's nothing from you. And then at 7, there's still nothing from you. And I think it was like at 8 that I'm like, you're here, right? You're home, right? Nothing from you, nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. In the meantime, Nancy, our guest speaker, messaged me. I really don't feel good. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's my allergies. I don't know. I'm going to give myself a bunch of allergy meds and get back to you. Is there a way to reschedule? And I'm like, oh God, no. But now what? And then I text you again and still nothing from you. Okay, so go on. Tell everybody, catch up to speed where you were.
So I got home like 1:30 in the morning because the flight was so delayed and I was passed out when you messaged. And then my phone's on do not disturb, so I didn't hear any of the pings. And then I saw and I'm like, I better text her because she's freaking out. I can tell she's freaking out. And then you told me about the speaker that she wouldn't be able to make it. So I went into like fix it mode.
Mhm.
And I had been thinking about stuff for our September retreat about things that I would like us to do. So I'm like, well, let's just shift gears and let's just do this instead.
Mhm.
And for me, it was like this stuff happens regularly in my life. There's always like a surprise waiting for me. So I was like, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. It'll be fine.
Mhm.
It, and then it actually turned out to be really beautiful because we had the most interesting discussion
Yeah.
about disruptions.
And yes, so then it was perfectly timed because we just decided to go with the disruption topic.
Yes.
And that went all over the place, which is wonderful. I love when things go all over the place.
And to cap it all off, in the middle of our meditation, as we were wrapping up, the library announcer goes, "Ah, we'll be closing in 15 minutes." And I was like,
Yeah,
this is
but
not really very zen.
he didn't even just say a 15 like that. He went on like and talked for like a good solid minute 30 seconds about your library card and materials. And I'm like, oh my God.
That was the timing of that was just so unfortunate.
Yeah. So it was great. It was wonderful. One of those things where I initially was like, oh my God, now what? Well, by the way, in the moment I was dealing with you may not be in town and our
Yes,
speaker's not there. Now
yes.
what?
Now what do
So
you do?
yeah,
It creates a bit of panic for sure.
it worked out and it was wonderful and it was beautiful. And I think everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah. But that's the point, right? Stuff like this happens in life all the time.
Yeah.
And how do we react to it? How do we deal with it? How do we manage it? And in the end, how does it turn out?
How does it turn out? Great question to ask yourself.
Right?
Because
Because
it
if you
turns out
look
great.
back, you're like, oh, it was fine.
Yeah. I worried for nothing. How many times have you said that?
A lot.
I say that to my kids all the time. You've worried for nothing.
That doesn't help anybody, Leah. Don't
No, I
say that
know.
anymore.
I know. I
No,
know.
it's true though. We say that to ourselves all the time.
You're worrying for nothing. It doesn't help. It's not helpful. I'm full of a lot of unhelpful comments, actually. I really am, now that I think about it. Oh, anyway. All right. So where did you start with this topic?
I started with the definition of what a disturbance is.
Okay, tell me what it is.
A disruption.
Okay.
A disruption is a disturbance or problems which interrupt an event, activity, or process.
Okay.
So for us, it was a shift in our programming on Sunday.
Wait,
And
say that again. It interrupts an event.
activity or process.
Ah, okay. I wrote those down. Those are important. Event, activities, or process.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I was a little bit lost in terms of where to go. So I was thinking about my own life and what are some things that are disruptions for me?
Yeah.
Okay, here's my list that I made.
Okay, good. I'm going to check off when we have the same because I did the same thing. Go ahead.
Did you? Okay.
Yep.
When the power goes out.
That never happens in my house, but it would definitely be a disruption.
Wait a minute. You're saying you never lose power? Ever?
Once in 16 years that I've lived here. Never. It has gone out one time.
Knock on wood, baby. That's really
I
good.
no, I always want a power outage.
Why?
I'm a weird person. I love them. I think they're exciting and they're like cozy and yay, we can all cuddle and turn our phones off kind of thing. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, your phone, yeah, it will still work, but yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, go on.
When the power goes out. And
Okay.
when my kids were home, that was always fun because, we just
Yeah.
play games or do whatever. But it's terrible. I was baking a cake last week and the lights were flickering and I was like, "Oh, please don't go out now. Please don't go out now. Please don't go out now. I have to bake this cake. I can't have it. I can't have it happen." But it worked out. When someone invites you out and it wasn't part of your plan.
Yep. Spur of the moment plans I wrote down.
Yes. I also put COVID on there.
Mm-hmm.
Lockdown,
Yeah.
summer season change.
Okay. I have weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weather was the second one for me, but like when a season changes, suddenly you're like can't walk outside or you can't go eat, like your vegetables are maybe not as fresh or
Yeah.
just like a lot of things are different. Weather was also there for me if there's a sudden, we live in Ohio, a snowstorm or a rainstorm, or in Florida, every afternoon there's these monsoon rains and the little streets get all flooded and it's like, but it's in a half an hour, it's pretty much over.
Wow.
I also wrote emotions, anxiety, fear, anything that like comes up for you that interrupts what you're doing.
Okay. So I wrote down mood.
Okay, same thing.
Yeah.
Kind
And
of, right?
honestly, I was thinking my mood and or someone else's mood can disrupt my day.
Oh, yes. I didn't think about that, but that's right.
Yeah.
Someone
And
is in a bad
I
mood.
shouldn't let it, but it's the same thing as some of the other things. Like I shouldn't let a rainy day disrupt anything either, but we do. So, but someone else's mood can disrupt me anyway.
I want to come back to this because I have a question about this.
Okay. So what else do you have?
Um, Traffic,
Oh, good one.
like if you're trying to go somewhere and there's a traffic jam and then,
Yeah.
stuff happens. Illness,
Yep. Illness, injury.
yes.
Yep.
Lack of sleep is a disruption
Yes.
when you
Never
don't
thought
get
of
enough
that.
sleep.
Yeah.
And then I put financial factors.
Oh, that was good too. I didn't think of that one.
Like suddenly you have to pay for a new furnish and then like you have to deviate funds to like it's a disruption,
It
it's
is a
not part of your plan.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good one. The only other one I had on there was all of a sudden your kids or your spouse are home and they in the middle of the day they weren't supposed to, or maybe your grandkids are coming over, but that would be spur of the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, we pretty much had the same thing.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a little shocking to me.
I know. Look at us being
So,
twinning.
um, that's so fun. So my question was this, if you said that someone else's bad mood shouldn't affect you, why do you say that?
Because I'm letting them have power over my mood now.
But if you live in the same house as somebody, not like a stranger, but if you live
Okay.
in the same house or a friend or a
Work
colleague or someone,
coworker. Right.
yeah, anybody that you're in constant contact with, why would their moods not affect you?
Well, I guess I just give them too much power.
I see.
And it changes my mood.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I do the same thing.
Oh, okay.
It
You
changes
do.
my mood too.
So why, but I mean, I understand where you're going with this, was like to ask me like, it should, right? In the grand scheme of things, disrupt us.
Well, I think that should and should not words, they are very judgmental towards us.
Okay. Okay.
And
I
I
agree.
think that's not fair. As a mom or as a female or as a person who feels things or is aware of other people, I am affected by moods.
Yeah.
If you were upset, I would be wondering, did I do something? Did something happen? Did I say something? Even though maybe nothing to do with me, I'm just going to be hyper aware. Like, are you okay? What can I do to help you? That is my personality, and I don't know that I want to change that.
Well, I agree with that. But when I'm thinking like, well, but what if you live with somebody or work with somebody or are constantly around somebody that is always a mood, you never know the mood.
Well, that's true. That's hard to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, that's a disruption.
A huge disruption.
Yeah.
Huge. Well, but in some ways it's not a disruption because it's very predictable that they're going to be
Yeah.
unpredictable.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, all right. So what did you come up? Okay, so let me tell you this.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out a way when you had that disruption to get right back on, right? And I really would. Two different articles said the same thing, which I did not like. If you really want to get back on, you'll find a way to get back on track.
Okay,
I
that's
know.
not helpful.
That's so unhelpful. And that's the point of me saying, like, I didn't like it. And the same wording was in both of these articles. And I'm like, that is not helpful at all to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't tell me that I don't really want to do something, because there's sometimes I really want to do it, but my mind isn't there.
Yep. Yep. Your
So
mind is not there because you've had like a detour in your road. So suddenly you're looking at a new scenery where, I mean, to use this analogy, but you're like, I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
right.
So you're
Right.
a little bit lost. And to get back to the main road, it's not like you can just turn around. Sometimes you have to take the detour.
Yeah. And the detour sometimes is beautiful and you stop longer, or sometimes it's horrible,
Yes, I
you
would
know.
agree with that. Yep.
But I
Yep.
did like this one. It said expect and accept.
What do you think that means?
Well, to sometimes plan for them, like
Mhm.
they're to always go, well, there probably is going to be something that comes up, right? And then
Mhm.
to accept them.
Mhm.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
It's not worth dwelling on. It's cool. Let's move on kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
I don't know. Well, when me and my sisters and I, when we all got married within a year of each other, pretty close to it anyway. And I remember after each one of our weddings, somebody always said to me, "What was the one hiccup?" Because there's always one at a wedding.
Yeah.
And I look back at it and I'm like, it's so funny. Like we expect it, and then we just accept it. Do you know what I mean?
There was, I think that, I don't know if you watched Sex in the City, the show.
Mm-mm.
There was a scene where people who watch it, they'll know, um, what's her name? Charlotte. She's
Okay.
getting married for the second time, and everything is going wrong, and her dress gets a stain, and something happens, and someone says to her in the bathroom as she's crying, trying to clean her dress, they said, "The worse your wedding, the better your marriage." And I thought, oh, that's really interesting
Hmm.
that, these hiccups, like you said, they will happen, and sometimes you don't want them because they just ruin the moment or the day or whatever
Right.
it is. But does it really change what's going to happen down the road?
That's
I don't
another good
know.
question. Yeah.
That scene was like, she's like, "Oh, all these things went wrong. Our marriage is going to be great."
I like the
So,
thought of this.
yeah.
Yeah. So what did you find to get back on? Or, you know,
Well, even before that, um, I think I was reading a little bit about why do we get upset when there's a disruption to our routine?
oh, okay.
Because I'm a person, I've told you, I'm routine. I know what's happening in my day. I have windows of scheduled
Mhm.
activities, even if it's sitting around, it's kind of scheduled in my brain. So if something disrupts that, why do I get upset? So responding with upset feelings may be a secondary emotion to fear in this situation. So getting disrupted also means being unprepared, and the fear of losing control can lead to more anxiety. So it's what you were saying is if you don't have control over it, it just causes this anxious feeling within you.
Yeah.
And anxiety is such an emotion that it doesn't have any rhyme or reason necessarily. You
Right.
can't say, "Oh, I'm sad," or "I'm mad," or "I'm happy." It's just a uneasiness that you get.
Right. From and I think that sometimes when that unexpected happens, it brings out your anxiety times 10,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's just an uneasiness. And sometimes when you tell people I'm just feeling anxious, they're like, "Oh, what do you have to feel anxious about? Everything is going great."
I know. But
Because anxiety is not a
again,
feeling.
that's something that doesn't help people.
No, it doesn't help people. It
It does
doesn't help people.
it's not helpful. By the way, I'm being guilty of saying that, but I'm just saying it's not helpful
So why do you say it?
because I don't know what to say to fix it and I want to fix it. I want to fix how you feel and I don't know how. I'm aware
Yeah.
that it's not helpful. And maybe that's what you say is, listen, I know this isn't going to be helpful, but there's really nothing to be anxious about.
Well, I think the first part of what you said hits with me. Like, I know there's nothing I can do about this, and I'm sorry that you're feeling anxious.
Yeah, and leave it at that.
Yeah, because anxiety is not an emotion that you can, I don't know. I feel like as a person who has anxiety, it's hard for me to get back on track when I'm having an anxious moment.
Mm,
Unless I can start getting control of certain details,
yeah.
I'm going to be anxious.
Okay, so here I found this out, like, because you said in your once you're in that cycle, it's harder to get out. And it said we really one of the questions to ask yourself is, okay, how did I get motivated in the beginning? Like ask
Right.
yourself with that one, and that may be helpful. And it also said, well, the one thing I was reading said, it's always easier to get back on track if you find something to be excited about, which I never
Yes.
thought of that.
Yes.
I
There
never
have
looked at it
been
like, what can I get excited about right now?
there have been times where I'm just feeling like blah, especially in the middle of winter when it's so dark and gray. And then I realized I need to like schedule some trips because then I have something to look forward to. Exactly what you're saying that, oh, I'm going to be going on a trip in March or April or whatever it is. And then I have like, I'm looking forward instead of looking down,
Um,
not, I think that's right on the nose.
yeah. So important. I've never thought of that though. Like that would be very beneficial to getting back on track after a disruption is looking for something that's exciting.
Have
Anyway,
you had any examples of your either a daily life or a big event where you felt disrupted?
um, gosh, yes, but I'm trying to think off the top of my head. What about you go while I'm thinking if you have one?
Well, I mean, the one that comes to my mind right away, even though this wasn't that big of a deal, but I was driving to work one day and I stopped for bicyclists because someone said, you need to stop because they have to cross and you're supposed to stop. And I got hit from behind because I think the girl was on the phone and she didn't see. So she slammed into me. And at that time I was driving my van, so I didn't have a lot of damage, or so I thought, but I was stuck there for a good hour and a half and I was supposed to be at work.
Right.
And it was one of the days that I was actually early. So it was a little annoying that here I am going to be on time and now this happened.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, can I drive my car? Do I tow my car? What am I supposed to do? Because I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to like do anything. So somebody called the police. They helped us
Right.
exchange information, took pictures. I made it to work in a respectable time. And then went to get the car repaired, and they're like, it's going to take 6 weeks because there was actually substantial damage because her car had gone underneath my van. So the whole trunk was bubbled in.
Oh God.
So, and it was sounding weird. So that was a disruption because
Another
then
disruption. Right.
you have to drive a rental car around and you're like, this is not part of my plan. I have stuff to do. I can't
Yeah.
handle this right now. This is time away from things I'm supposed to be doing,
Right.
but it had to be done.
Yes. That's a disruption. That's a big disruption.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, God, how do I get back to the old cop, like the old person you were? Like, how do I get back to that when you're dealing with all of this and you have a rental car? You just
Yeah.
automatically feel out of routine when you're not in your own car, right?
Yes. Yes.
Like, even if you woke up and you did everything the same, the simple fact that you're getting in a car that isn't your own throws you way off of whack.
Yeah.
It
Because
truly
you're like,
does.
I don't know how to turn on the air and I don't have my snacks that I have
I
in my
try
like.
telling this to my husband. If I'm fortunate enough that whenever there's something with my car, he takes it and he does it himself and he fixes it. But anytime I have to drive his car, I am all out of whack. And I try explaining this to him. He's like, it's our car. It's still, I go, it doesn't matter. Like my whole mental being is totally thrown off when I am not in my
Yes,
typical car.
I agree.
He can't get that. I don't know why, but he just doesn't get that. And it's a big disruption. It's something as simple as he's taking it to get an oil change throws me completely off.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, does. But I got this. Well, I got a couple things to say about like routine. My morning routine is down. It is down. It has been down for like forever. Like just how it is. It's always been this way. And if somebody gets up early, it throws me off.
Oh, okay.
You get up early, I'm like ticked off. I'm like, really? Did you have to get up early? Like, I mean, you could be in the best mood in the world when you get up, and I'm like, ugh, now there's a whole shift in what I was going to do, what I was going to think about, what I was going to drink in my coffee, the whole thing, right? All
Hmm.
of it. But I did some research on that because it was bothering me. Like, why does it bother me? And routines help us function. Okay.
Yes.
They do is they help conserve your energy so that you don't have to dedicate any time towards anything else, and it helps get you to the goal of the day. So when I have my routine, it's already down. I'm conserving all of my energy because I already know I'm doing it. So now I have energy to focus later on in the day towards other things. So
Hmm.
when it throws me off, somebody wakes up in the morning and is talking to me while I'm trying to do what I get done in the morning. Now I have to find energy throughout the day to get that part done. And I
I
never
see.
thought of it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So when something is disrupted, it it requires more energy in the other part of the day to the
Yeah.
thing that was Am I explaining it right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Well, let me ask you about another disruption to you. So
Okay.
you still have kids at home,
Yeah.
and when they're out of school or when they go back to school or they have summer break, is that a disruption for you?
Yeah, everything is a disruption. Yeah. But I feel like my entire summer is just a big ball of disruption.
Really?
The whole summer is just a big ball of disruption. Yeah.
So how do you have a routine then in summer?
No, I don't. And I was trying really hard to get one and I just don't think it's going to happen. So I need to kind of just let that go and realize that it's okay.
Yeah, makes sense. That
It's
makes
okay.
sense.
Which also makes sense and why I tell every single person that I've ever met that the hardest time of the year for me to stay on track with my weight is in the summer.
Really?
It's not November and December during the holiday season. It's not October during candy and Halloween. It is the summer. And I think
Why?
because entire summer is just a big ball of disruption.
So do you think the disruption makes you not stay on track, or is it
Yeah.
another reason?
No, I think that the disruption just leads to more distractions and my energy is now going to this and then how do I get back to the way it was? Like I think it's just a big running out of energy
Yeah,
from
I
lack of
was
routine.
yeah, I
Mhm.
was thinking about this in terms of for a while I was on a good trend with weight wise and fitness wise and just on track. And then I don't really know what happened besides like COVID and lockdown. And then really the big disruption for me was when my kids went back to their normal lives. And then I was here alone again, not being mom and just like by myself and my husband. And that was a disruption for me the other way. I know it's happy because obviously everybody should get back to their lives, but we had set up a pretty good routine while they were home, and we did a lot of fun things, and we had actual good quality time because there was nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Even though there was all the anxiety of, do we have enough toilet paper and do we have hand sanitizer and are we
Yeah.
cleaning our groceries? And that was a huge disruption to our life,
Mhm.
huge. But it impacted like you don't go to the gym anymore and you work out at home and you can take a walk in the neighborhood, but you need to stay away from people and like that. Everything was disrupted
And then
in
you
our
found
daily
a
life.
routine and then it went back to the way
Yes,
and then you were floundering for another routine again, basically.
yes. And then that was a a harder adjustment to go back to. You know, when I'm responsible for just myself, and obviously my husband too, but he's an adult, so it's different.
Yeah.
But when I'm just responsible for myself, it's harder for me to get motivated to get back into routine when I don't have any outside motivations.
Wow. I see this by the way, but I'm also thinking of somebody that we know that is using this as her selfish time and loves calling it that and is so motivated to be like in that spot where you are. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? She's
yeah.
loving it.
It takes a while to get back into it, but
Yeah.
it is like suddenly, oh, here you have a hard right turn, and what am I doing now? I don't know.
Mm. So how are you going to get it excited again?
I mean, it took me a while once they left because it's been what 2 years since they've been back to their lives, and they're happy because they have stuff to do,
Yeah.
you know. But I was just missing them, and they're really good company, and they're fun and funny, and um, it took me a while, but I had to like set up basically a new routine.
Yep.
And I couldn't go back to what I was doing before, and that is also a disruption because what was working before is now not working.
Yeah, so you have to accept that.
Yes.
And that's hard.
That is hard because 'cause you're like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
was successful and I was doing X, Y, and Z, and now that's not working,"
Right.
because it's different.
So accepting it is really what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and, something that came out of our retreat was and really latched onto this concept and this analogy, was a toolbox analogy. And I don't know why, but it has hit me in a way that's very deep. So what I mean is if everybody has a toolbox of things they use to manage their life, to do their routines, to handle stress, whatever it is, you have tools that you use. For some people it's meditation, for some people it's activity, for you it's your morning routine. You need it to maintain like calmness and sanity.
Yep.
But the problem is when we don't update our tools. And I thought that was such an interesting concept.
No, I remember thinking the same thing, like, like, yes, you can use a hammer and nail
Yes.
and build something, but man, there's so many better tools out there now.
Yes. And maybe a hammer worked before, but maybe that won't work now. So maybe going to the gym worked for me before, but maybe I don't like that anymore.
Right.
Maybe I need a new workout.
Maybe whatever you're doing right now isn't working and you need to change something and get a new
Yes.
tool.
Yeah, new
You
tool,
need
an
a new
updated
tool.
tool, a power tool, whatever
Mhm.
it is.
Yeah.
I just love that concept of, you know, changing the things that we use to help us to keep our routines, but having the flexibility to say, you know what, this is not working anymore.
Right.
I need to rethink this.
It kind of is like that old saying that people say, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But we're saying opposite. Like, just it's not broken, but it's not working.
Yeah. And I almost even believe that even before it's broken, maybe it needs updating.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like such a disruption.
Right. I mean, think about it in the terms of like I'll give you this is a super silly example, but it's along the lines of what we're talking about. Like, my husband noticed our dishwasher's been working fine, but he noticed he doesn't think the temperature is getting up to where it should be.
Okay.
It is not broken, but we definitely need to work on the tool. We need to change the tools to get it back to where it needs to be, or else, yeah, we do need a new one. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
it's not broken, but we still need to fix it.
Absolutely. It
That's
needs
how we are.
adjustments.
Yeah, we need adjustments. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I'm fine with making adjustments. I think that's what all this entire podcast is about. It's what all of our call to action sessions are about, is it's making adjustments.
Well, and
It's
I think the beauty of this is we try things, some things work, some things don't. So we are constantly evaluating, does this serve me? Does this not? And if it
Mhm.
doesn't serve me, then I need to find something else.
Yeah.
And that's really the beauty of the call to actions, because we're experimenting and we're trying and we're trying to figure this out.
And it's a pain sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
You
a
wanted to
pain.
use a different word, I know.
I did. I wanted to I did. I cleaned myself up for you all. Anyway.
Um, so the list that I found for maybe a way to deal with this is when you have a disruption to reevaluate short and long-term priorities, which I think we were just kind of talking about.
Okay.
Don't let it fall apart. So just because it's a disruption doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
I like that one. I think
I,
that's
and
a
I
really good one to remind yourself, okay, this is not a reason to fall apart.
Right, right.
Yeah.
This one I thought was really interesting. Let people know about your situation. So if it's even a big one, or like say my car situation, I let people know, look, I had an accident. I'm going to be late. This is what's happened. So they don't create their own story. They know what's happening. So they either can help me or offer sympathy, empathy, whatever.
Yeah.
Adapt your process. So similar to what we were just saying about maybe you need a new way of doing it.
Mhm.
And the last one is, and which I'm going to share something about myself, but look at the disruption as a gift and be grateful.
You told me that before we started recording, and I was really fascinated with that, and I think it's amazing. I've never done it.
So I can tell you there have been times where so I was working for a nonprofit group doing their media and communications, and um their whole operation changed. So I said, it's not a good fit for me, so I quit. But probably for 6 months I was really sad. I was like upset that this thing that I loved so much and I was really dedicated to now is gone from my life. And I got another job, and that job led me to where I am now, which is working as a health coach. And if I look at all the steps that have happened, those disruptions and the rejections from other jobs, they were served a purpose to get me to where I am now. And I don't think I could have asked for a more fulfilling, uh,
Pat.
not even a job. Yeah, path. Yeah, that's a better word. Path. It's so fulfilling to me, but it's a blessing in disguise because if all those other things didn't happen, I might be in the wrong place.
Oh, so everything happens for a reason type of thought. And
Yeah.
hey, whatever this disruption is, something good is going to come out of it. We just got to be patient.
Yes. Yes. And it doesn't mean you won't get upset. You might be upset in the moment, of course. And you might be afraid or anxious or whatever your emotions are, and that's okay.
Yeah. But we really have to focus. And it's a great tool to, what's the word I'm looking for? When you change it up, you're turning it around. You know
You're
what I'm saying?
changing your perspective.
That thanks you, perspective. Like that's really important, I think, for a lot of us to remember when things don't go the way we want and we're disrupted. We have to put it into
Yes,
perspective and change it up a little bit.
absolutely. And I think that helps us get us over the hump.
Yeah, maybe it does. I'll have to pay attention to that now. And then maybe I
I'm
have thought of things in the positive way, but I don't know if I have. I really don't know if I've consciously done it anyway.
oh,
Like been
well,
like, well, this disruption is probably going to give me something good. I just don't know what yet.
I think when you're so close to it, you can't see it. You need to be a little
Yeah,
removed from it to really appreciate it.
right. Some disruptions do bring positivity no matter what. Like, you're planning on doing nothing and someone calls you in the appliance. It's like, yep, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is
You
true.
know,
That is true. I didn't think about that. There are good disruptions.
there are good disruptions, but I think we are so focused on the zeroing in on the bad ones that we don't pull out the good ones
I
enough.
agree. Yeah.
We're not like, this is a good disruption.
Yeah, that was
We don't
fun.
do,
That was a nice
yeah,
detour. Yeah,
we don't do that enough. I don't do that enough.
you're so right. You're so right.
So it is important.
Yeah.
So
So, do you have a call to action?
I do have a call to action. I do. And really what it came down to was during our retreat on Sunday, we did a goal setting section on a goal pyramid. And one of my routines that I want to make happen was to um get a serving of vegetables in a container at night before. So I automatically know today I'm going to eat this container of broccoli or this container of peppers or this container of whatever my vegetable is going to be. And I was trying to figure out how to make that a routine. And I thought about something that I had heard on another podcast. It's called, and it was really about figuring out if you're a lark, a night owl, or a third bird. And a lark is just a morning bird, like a bird
Okay.
that wakes up. It's just a prettier way of saying I'm an early bird. I like
Mhm.
saying a lark. A night owl, we know, is somebody who stays up all night, right? And then the third bird is that person that is most active, like gets the most done between like 11 and 2. Like I would say my mom,
Okay.
like, you know what I mean? Like, and it was about knowing that because that's your strength. So then I realized it's like, I'm trying so hard to make a routine at 7 o'clock at night. That is not who I am.
Yes.
So my call to action this week is to get my vegetable for the day that I'm going to eat throughout the day or whatever ready while my coffee's going.
Oh, that's so smart.
So yeah, like a duh, like, yeah, but that's
That
it
is really
because
smart.
I'm not, I keep making it at night and I'm getting disrupted and something's happening and the disruption is coming over and over and over. And it's like, God, why can't I get this? Well, because that's not my strength. I'm never going to be able to make a successful 7 p.m. routine. It's just not.
Yes. You texted me back at 8:30 and I was shocked.
I was half asleep, by the way. It
I was
wasn't,
like, I text you sometimes because I'm like, oh, she'll see it when she wakes up when
I know.
I'm asleep. But you texted me back and I was like, oh my God, what happened?
That's just happened where somebody was texting me, hello, hello. And the next morning I was like, I was in bed and I don't think they believe me.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt horrible. I'm like, oh, they probably think I was lying and I was ignoring them and I really wasn't. But anyway.
No, I like that. You're gonna lean into your strengths. Why not?
Yeah. Anyway, what about you? What's your call to action?
Okay, so I was struggling with what my call to action was gonna be, and you were kind of talking me through some things. And something that occurred to me is, I've had this cough, which is seasonal for me because when the air quality is really bad or dust or dander is very high, I cough. And when I cough, then it makes my throat hurt, which makes me cough more. It's like a whole loop. And what I've been doing, because it's a disruption, like especially if I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, because I feel like I'm disrupting them
Them.
and I'm disrupting their peace or their environment or whatever it is. And I'm not sick. So it's not like I can say, oh, I'm spreading germs to you. It's a noisy cough. So what I decided in talking it out with you was I'm going to stop saying I'm sorry
Oh
because
my.
it is a disruption and I don't mean to do it. I don't mean to offend you, but I cannot control it.
This is intriguing to me because you're only really annoying certain people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the people that you're really around and like if you're talking to a bunch of people, if you start coughing, you're going to not say you're sorry.
I'm not going to. I'm not give you an example. I was on the plane and I told the lady next to me, look, I'm really sorry that I started with I'm really sorry. I have a cough. I'm not sick. I have allergies. She's like,
I love
oh
that you did
honey.
that, by the way. I think that's really nice of you that you did that.
Well, I
Anyway,
didn't want her to freak out that,
right.
oh God, this lady has some disease that I'm gonna catch.
So how did
But
she respond?
she's like, oh honey, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. And she was so sweet and so nice. And I don't need to say sorry every time I'm coughing
Right.
because it is a disruption, but I'm not doing it on purpose.
Mhm.
And life happens.
I think that is very interesting. So you're not going to apologize for something that is just what's going on.
Yes, I'm not going to. I might say, I don't know what I would say. Would there be something to say?
Nope.
I could just explain. I have allergies,
No, I don't
coughing.
even think you need to, do you?
No, I don't know. Because some people get worried about a cough.
Well, I think this is good for you to pay attention to and see. Like maybe there are situations that warrant an explanation and situations that it's like, no, you don't need to, it's not your business.
Yeah, maybe.
You could be like,
Maybe.
this is HIPAA. You don't need to know. I got a HIPAA thing going on here.
Oh, that's so funny.
I mean, this will be interesting. I'm excited for that one. So
Yeah, I think I need to do that because I know every time I cough, I say I'm sorry.
mhm. Okay.
I should. I saw somebody from a different podcast. I think it was Mel Robbins. She does a podcast. I don't remember the title of it, but she said, "Stop saying sorry. You need to shift the focus away from yourself to the person in front of you. So if you're late, you say, I'm sorry I'm late. Instead of saying, I'm sorry I'm late, say, thank you for waiting for me. And puts the focus on them, which is much more appreciative and grateful.
That's what you could say. Thank you for being patient with my cough.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for understanding that this is an annoying cough.
Yes.
That's a beautiful way. Thank you for understanding that this is so annoying to me right now.
Yes. I agree. I think that's going to be profoundly impactful to me.
I
I'm
can't
not
wait.
going to feel so bad.
Okay. I love it.
Thanks for working it out with me.
All right. Anytime. I didn't even know I did that. I really didn't. So,
You did.
all right. Well, have a
Well,
great week.
you too. Bye.
Bye.